here we are. We're at the place where we're going to talk about some of the most common things that I find. And there are other things that exist. These are not just the 7 things, but these are the most common things as me, who has taught for voice for over 20 years and experienced it and taught over a couple of thousand people in my life. This is the most common things that have come up for me. And I'm going to use this visual down here, which you have access to. All right. And so under these, you find the problems exist: shortness of breath, inconsistent breath support, etc. And you're going to find what usually happens the most. There are other problems that do exist, and these problems exist throughout all of these mistakes that we're making when breathing. But the most common mistake that comes from this realization is what I listed here. So let's talk about each one and how we can combat that. When you find yours, I would very highly encourage you in the community to put something that anybody, any vocal coach, anything that you have thought or has found to help you. These exercises are not the only ones. I do want to say though, when you pick an exercise to help you breathe, please pick an exercise that you get really good at. If I'm always, for example, we're playing basketball and every day we change up the drill, how are you going to, wait, we're doing this now, we're dribbling with this hand, but we did with this hand the other day. Like, how am I supposed to get good at anything if I don't pick one awesome exercise I find works very well for me? So I tried my best to find other exercises that did not, kind of go into other. I try to find the most exercises that were very unique to this. Even though one exercise can be used for something else, I try to make them as all unique as possible so you can have more resources. That's what I'm saying. All right, so shortness of breath. Here it goes. Yeah. If you have a shortness of breath, there is a few things that are happening here. And the shortness of breath could be caused, again, by, you can see down here, anxiety and performance stuff. But we're going to just kind of approach it as if like you don't know how to take a bigger breath. Because all of these problems that exist right here can be from anxiety or your situation that you're in. And so the shortness of breath, here's how you combat that. It's when you're pretty much having enough air to fill the lungs, or it feels like it's escaping all the time. Here are some of the great things. Exercise that help. Box breathing with vowel shapes. So don't just breathing in on, people think about breathing in on a vowel. Do you have a favorite vowel? E, A, I, O, U. Find what that vowel is, and then maybe use that favorite vowel that you love and combine it with the thing that you hate. Because remember, the way we learn something is we take something we don't know and we take something we know and put them together and we know it. So here's what we're going to do. We know our favorite vowel. Find what that is. And if you don't have one, doesn't matter. Use something you feel comfortable in breathing in. Box breathing. We're going to breathe in. So here it goes. I'm going to airflow in. All right, I made a sound, but you shouldn't make a sound, right? So here, breathe in. You're going to hold that in for a certain amount of counts. Let's say 4 this time, and then you're going to breathe out and do a silent out. You don't have to go. For those stereo, I'm using my ears, anyway. I'm sorry for the ASMR moment. You're breathing out, and then you hold it out. And then you breathe in, feeling the lower. And what that helps is when you feel deprived of air, what happens is your body's like, we need air immediately. And it breathes more typically the way that you need to breathe in order to get a good breath, which is very natural. Like, let's fill up down here first, not here first. It's getting the air to where it needs to go first. So box breathing, practice with me. Breathe in 4, 1, 2, 3, breathe in and hold it in. 2, 3, 4, let it out. 2, 3, silently and hold it out. 2, 3, 4, and breathe. You get the point. Great. Breathe normal. So that's what you want to do in those situations, extending it here and there. Practicing this every day and starting not with like longer ones, but shorter ones, and then going, and then bring it back down after you get to like 16 in, 16 out, and you're getting crazy. Don't be driving, by the way, when you're doing this. You could pass out. And if you need to, stand up, have good posture, do all those things that you need to. Practice makes habits. Be in the position, in the place, stand in the place you're actually going to be performing this if you can. Be in the most recreated situation as possible. The next one is varied sustained hissing. And you could do that with the box breathing, or you inhale deeply and you're out on 4. Completely out. Breathe in. You're in and then out on 8. And then start playing with that, going to 16, then adding 20, then 24. Seeing if you can sustain it as much as possible by still staying relaxed here in your body. Again, being in the position that you need to breathe in appropriately. And then the silent, low breath expansion, and you place your hands on the lower ribs. Inhale deeply without making a noise, the sound, and just keep these out. And you could also, when you're breathing in, push these out in general. Like, try to push them out. You're not going to feel like all of a sudden like, oh, I can move my ribs out like this. That would be a little crazy, but you see that? You can practice those type of breaths. Now let's do it silently. Getting used to those muscles so you could activate them in the future. You can't do it right away. Just practice more. That's all you need to do. Doing these 3 exercises, I find, will definitely help you out with that. Now, inconsistent breath support. This is where you sing steady voice or talk, and you could just talk forever. Blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, you don't need air. You could just talk forever. But when you sing, bye air, see ya. Well, most likely if that's happening, it's because the approximation, the touching of the vocal cords, air is escaping. Instead of doing this, your vocal cords doing that, it's like doing this, and air is escaping. Or you're breathing in too much, just like a balloon. You blow up too much, air is going to want to escape, just like a balloon does. The more you blow up a balloon, when you let go of that, it's going to go, let me out, let me out, let me, because of all that tension that's existing inside the body. There's good tension and bad tension, by the way. I just want to let you aware. Your body's going to feel some type of tension. Tension is not bad. Tension needs to exist for the vocal cords to vibrate, and so does force. So keep that in mind. So inconsistent air support means that you're probably not approximating the vocal cords correctly. And the way to do that is lip buzzing. Or if you want to say lip trills or whatever you want to call them. They sound like this. And I like to pitch my cheeks forward when I do it because I feel like, do you hear that? For me, I feel like I relax more. And the purpose of doing that is depressurizing your vocal cords. So when I'm doing that, I feel like you're using the air. You cannot if you are using bad airflow. So practicing how to do that and increasing in length, doing it various, like I sing for 4 seconds, I sing for 16 seconds, I sing whatever it is, or singing a melody. And just feeling that. Now, is my posture good? Am I sitting up straight? Can I put my shoulders? Find out where that position is for you. Another one, if you can't do that, you could do that, or zzz, or for those of you who can't roll your tongue, the back of your tongue, or doing all of it at the same time. You get the point. Doing that and varying it up and singing that phrase that you can't sing all the way through using that. If you can do it using that, then practice using the lip trill and then go on from that. Straw singing, you've seen this as well. There's also a type of there's a thing out there where you can limit your airflow while breathing out, if you ever seen that device. But doing that or sustaining hum practices. So for example, straw is when you take a straw, you put it inside of a cup, and then you blow bubbles in the cup while singing with good posture, right? Maybe if you could do this, that would be great. And there's another one, if you get in too much, the thickness of the airflow. And I find that McDonald's straws, or they used to do this well, with Chick-fil-A straws, and then how long the straw is, all of that matters. Finding your resistance point where you do the best at is important because you want to be able to emulate that over and over again, getting the right length. And this is not, you're not going to know when you first do it. You just got to do it a bunch of times and play around with different sizes. Like, oh, I like this one better. Well, then stick to that one. And then later on in life, go back to the straws and it's like, okay, am I using the right straw? Because your body's going to change. The better you get, you're going to need a different resistance. Again, there's also devices out there that does that. So singing through water, that helps with that, causing that pressure. There's a type of back pressure that sometimes soprano singers sing that causes them. It's called SOVT, where it causes them to be able to build the pressure up, to be able to like have that nice sound. Anyway, And that's not opening the mouth. So there's a type of resistance that we want to be able to train our bodies to do while we're singing to expand our inconsistent breath support and the light humming. And then that's just not chew like a cow, and find where your face vibrates the most. For me, it's there, and humming. And you could open or close your mouth depending on how much resistance you want to come out. So those type of exercise, again, out of these 6 exercises we talked about for the first couple of problems, find the one that you like. I love this exercise, and just do that one over and over again. Get really good at it. Don't switch through all of them like, I did all the exercise. What good are you going to get if you're practicing all of the exercise all the time? Maybe like rotate one in and out if you're doing your daily vocal routines, but you want to find something that you're just like can go to and master. Your body's like, oh, I know how to do that one, and I know how to do it well, because practice makes habit. You built up the dominant habit that your body will automatically go to when you're performing that. Tension in the body. Again, these exercises that we talked about has been able to eliminate tension in the body, especially depressurizing the vocal cords. So we're going to talk about the progressive muscular relaxation. How do you like that name? This is basically, you're going to tense your muscle groups. Tense up your neck. And then release. And put it in motion. If you feel that tension in the body, that's one way to be able to target things, to find out where it is, search and destroy. So being aware that's there and then relax it. Shoulder or neck stretches. Now, shoulder rolls, not neck rolls. Neck rolls are bad for you unless you do them in a specific way. Again, there's always a caveat or a rule breaker for these rules, right? If you take your neck and just relax, like, we find that people are rolling the necks. We're just like, and just like, it just wasn't good. Just targeting this place. And then also making sure that you're rolling. And you don't when somebody's like, all right, let's roll shoulders, you feel like you have to do it exactly like them. Don't. If somebody tells you to roll the shoulders and you're doing this with you and you're doing this with me, I want you to make sure that you are never, ever, 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 ever going to do exactly like them. Do it the way that you like, okay, wait, I feel like, okay. Do it the way that you think you need to make it happen. I like to put my hands here so we can feel that. If you do this, I feel like I'm more tense there. Like, I feel like lifting this causes me to find the way to release more pressure. So find out where you put your hands when you roll, whatever you want to. But do you. Find the one that works best for you and make you feel most happy. Okay, and then there's the jaw massage. Just gently, you want to make sure tension in the body. This. Now, one thing I want to add bonus for looking at this is if it's in motion, it most likely is not tense. If I'm, like, I could obviously pick up a weight and like I could put it in motion, but usually if you're just like moving it normally like this, it's not tense. So you want to be able to make sure that I'm not going anywhere. Class is not dismissed. Don't go anywhere. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're able to, again, belong in the system with your body, knowing it and finding out what's working. But if it's in motion, for example, if I'm singing, ooh, 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 whatever your style of genre is, if you do this while singing, you find that your vocal cords cannot be tense, your neck cannot be tense because it's in motion. So if you're moving, have you ever seen a vocal coach, take somebody's arm and walk them around the room while they're singing? It's because now their body's in motion, and the things that normally tense them up, like stand straight and deliver the song with good body posture. When I thought about body posture a lot, I got tense because I'm like, you're supposed to have your shoulders down. Get down there. So there are things that you need to watch out for that while you're standing. Keep it in motion. Ooh, 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 ooh. Did you hear that? Those two different ooh vowels that I did there? How did I make that second one if I want to do classical singing? But if I want to do pop singing, ooh, do, 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 yeah. Something when you're going into jazz or anything else, find that vowel, find that tension, find the place where you sound the best at, find the body posture, and if you find it and you're able to lock it in by still moving a little bit while singing, that'll get rid of the tension as well. Your breath intake can be more natural then, and then you'll have a better delivery. Don't expect massive improvement right away. Like, oh, it changed my life. Yeah, but practice them. So normally you don't go to work out and all of a sudden you're jacked. Like, you have to consistently do it. These are muscles that we're training now. So keep that in mind of getting that tension and releasing it. And the days that you actually have the tension released, stick to those days. Shallow breathing. Shallow breathing is very similar, I know, to shortness of breath. But it sometimes, remember, in shortness of breath, we feel as if we took a big breath in and the air escaped. Shallow breathing is when we don't take enough air. That is just, you're at the point. You don't have enough to sing a long note for, or because we tanked up. Shallow breathing could also be because you're taking in too much air. Yeah. So singer's breath with one hand and belly on the other with the chest. Right. Sorry. One hand belly, one hand chest. So when you're singing, you got that singer's breath going on. You want to be able to practice by doing this and then inhale deeply and making sure that you're not breathing in here. Shallow breaths. I mean, I think that feels good. Like, it feels like it puts air in places that I forgot about. But remember, it's not. You know how when you have a body part that's not touched more and they feel more like intimate, like right here? Like that, nobody like says, "Hey, how are you?" to my to the other side of my elbow. Nobody does that. So it feels more intimate. So don't touch me there, right? Unless there's something very close to me, like my wife. So the same thing happens when you breathe in places that you haven't breathed in before. And I was like, it feels good to breathe here. Here. Breathe in. Watch my natural progression of my body. It's going to breathe in here. You're going to see this expand. And you're going to see this on my chest rise last. So breathing in. Silent ah breath. And see how like this is coming as an aftermath? It's because the air has nowhere to go. It's just moving. But I'm not actually taking my breath and going like this and making it move. I wanted to, when I found this out, I wanted to first, studying under some wonderful people when I went to college for this, I thought that it was supposed to move. But everybody's body is different. So you want to make sure that you're allowing your body to breathe in the air. And if your chest just happens to move after all this is great. If not, you would just want to check that this is not moving before this. It should never be like that. It should always be first this, here, and then this happens to raise maybe. Going into that, you have the back breathing where you put your back against the wall, right? And after your back is against the wall. Now, this doesn't work for everybody. I know a guy named Larry. You're like, you just made up that name. No, I promise you. Handle my last name. In its honor. So he was not good. His back to the wall would cause him to do this. It was not good. So back to the wall. When you have that back to the wall and breathing down and low, finding out where that is, and of course lying down. Lying down and doing that as well. That works. And rib cage expansion with thumbs on the ribs here. So you're putting your thumbs here, and you want to feel that expansion that's happening. I'm going to show you this expansion right here. If I breathe in. Did you see the way it moved? Now, it's not supposed to go, it's supposed to go just enough to be able to make that happen. That's another way to combat that. Taking too much air. Stop. This is the way we want to move on with this. If you take in too much air, you're going to get breathy. If I go, I got a big phrase, I got a post that I'm going to sing with, if you've ever been in a barbershop, Tim Warwick, that sings those long notes, or you're doing the Sia challenge, the snowman challenge. People tend to just take too much air and they store a lot here. So when you do that, air wants to escape. Here is, again, inhale, a count of 4, hold it briefly for 2, and then exhale for 4. This is another box breathing technique, measured breathing. Sipping breaths. You see how I filled up and then I just tanked up, make sure it's not in my chest. So when you have that, the air needs to be immediately after you do that, make sure it's not, and don't let the air escape. Immediately when you start breathing or singing, or when you start singing or doing the vocal exercise, the implementation of that vocal exercise is done. So for example, if I'm breathing in, some people go, and they let some air out before they start singing. Let that on singing, breathe in and sing immediately on the breath. Immediately when you're done breathing in, the singing is happening. There's no air escaping or no other mechanism, which helps if you don't go, and then you go, okay, now that I breathe like this, I'm going to sing an ooh vowel. Ooh, you want to. Like, you don't want to do that. You want to go, ooh, you. All of a sudden, you hear how much fuller that is if you go back and rewind back and forth. All right, so, and then you have half full breathing. If you're going to yell across the parking lot to save someone's life, or if you're going to talk, there might be some vocal tension happening if too much air is escaping. But taking too much air in, you should just need enough air that you need for singing almost, because there is some force, like for singing a high note that happens. You should be able to take just enough air as if you're about to say the word that you're going to say or sing it. Now, if the word is, and I will always love you, you know that song. If I was going to say, and I will always love you, if I just went ahead and spread that out just by talk singing, and I can make it by talk singing, there is something that you're doing wrong by either intaking too much air, which is this problem right here, air is escaping because of that, or you're not approximating the vocal cords because you're taking too much air in. Or after you're done breathing in, you don't utilize it in the same way. It could be a placement issue. I know that when I'm what's called posting, like singing a note forever and just letting it soar all the way to the end while people are singing other things, I know that if I do not put that in a certain place in my vocal register, then it will not work. So that air escaping of taking too much air before that will cause me not to sing to the end of the phrase. If somebody was in danger, here's another exercise to add for the half full breathing you see down here. If somebody was in danger and they're across the street, when you yell out to them, like, hey, watch out, don't get by a car, or like, hey, don't put your foot there, you know, whatever it is, then your body naturally takes the amounts of air that it needs to deliver that message. I want you to try a couple of heys, yelling them, hey! I want you to try a couple of those things right now. Pause the video and do that to see what type of air your body's intaking. And then use that. I'm going to pause this just real quick. Oh, I can't pause it.
Student Stephanie Rodriguez-Guzman, please report to the attendance office. Stephanie Rodriguez-Guzman, please report to the attendance office. Thank you.
So basically, you want to be able to intake naturally the amount of air and the way you would intake it if you were going to deliver that same message to somebody. And doing that will help you not take too much air in. It will give you the right amount of air, which is awesome. Okay. Poor posture. You get the point. If something is broke or my mechanism is, it's not going to work. And I could prove that even while singing. If I have a certain note that I'm singing, look, I'm about to sing, you can tell. Putting myself in position, right? Practice makes habit. So if I'm singing, like my voice is, from teaching all day, it gets to this point, my personal voice. I'm not saying everybody's voice is like that. My voice. If I'm hurt, you see how I'm just singing and I'm manufacturing a lot of bad posture. It's not going to output very well. Like bending a pen and the ink flow is going to be messed up. It's the same thing with having poor posture. Wall posture check, lying on your back on the ground, seeing if you could emulate those muscles the same while you're standing up. Maybe going from the ground to reproducing it as much as possible as the wall, because the gravity is different, and then stepping away from the wall and doing that. If that's helping you, then that's great. Ear holes over your shoulders. Make sure that happens. Taking a string and pulling it up as if you have something pulling you up right here. Chin parallel to the ground. and you're doing this right here, this is going to make a massive difference. You're going to feel like a weirdo. You're going to also watching, and this is going to be weird, the hips. Like, where are the hips, right? Yeah, that looks, sorry about that. You can't unsee that. But seriously, the hips, like, where are they when it comes to that? Like, your legs are going to be shoulder width apart, knees maybe slightly bent. The weight on your feet, if you take and you stand up and you bend your legs like this, right? And you bend those legs down here, these legs, all of a sudden realize and pay attention to the way that your weights on your feet are. The weight on your feet are going to be even. You want even weights. Now, there have been teachers that you are supposed to go in the balls of your feet. Even weight. Even weight, please. Even weight on the feet. Knees slightly bent. One foot could be in front of the other. It's fine. Hips over your ankles. Going all up here. Shoulders are over. And that's, again, to make sure that we're doing that, we're going to do this exercise, right? It's not like, hey, it's not like over here. It's palms up and then just dropping them, having that noble chest. Ear holes over your shoulders, and start singing like that and getting a habit. The first time I ever started doing that, it was weird. But the amount of error that I have from allowing all that space to happen with expansions here is massive. It's like, hey, put some air inside of this, or put some air inside of this. That's the difference. Look how much air you can hold. And if you're putting air inside of this, your intake of air is going to feel like it's more than what it is. It's going to push it out more. A balloon this size or a balloon this size, both are going to be able to take more air and will pressurize it out according to how much you intake. These are all muscles that you can train. So this down here, I think, to battle the anxiety and performance pressure, all of your problems that we just went over, all of these will exist because of anxiety, because of performing weird, heart racing. Your body's going to do stuff. I want to say the biggest thing that you could do for yourself if you get anxious and it all of a sudden, like, you get really worried, is it means that you haven't done it enough times in front of somebody to be able to realize that this never goes away, and you learn how to work with it. You don't ever work against it. You don't ever say, well, your nerves will go away if you trick your body into thinking you're excited as well, because nervousness and excitements hold the same type of emotional body reaction. Your palms get sweaty when you're excited. Your palms get sweaty when you're nervous. Don't do that. If you say don't be nervous, you're going to be nervous. We talked about this before. You've heard this earlier. You're nervous. Learn how to perform while being nervous. You learn how to be in one with it. And if you haven't done that, you can do ground breaths, going out, holding your hand against something very strong and saying, I'm going to just now take breaths. It helps to slow the heart rate down. But you're still trying to trick the brain into thinking that something dangerous isn't about to happen. You're about to go in front of a whole bunch of people, and you're going to be singing. Visualize before singing. Recreate the space that you're going to be in when you're singing. If you're going to be standing at this point of the stage, always stand in that point. So all of a sudden, your dominant habits are going to be built up to be able to implement the type of performance. And when you get to that space that you've always been in, right at that spot, your body's like, oh, yeah, I know what to do here. It's going to go in automatic. You want it to be just as automatic. And you don't want to think about the breath or any of that stuff at the end of the day. You want to be able to have that to be second nature, just happening. Adding choreo. I'm going to add a bonus one if you say embrace the nerves after this, but adding choreo. If you have a song you're singing and you always do this movement with your body at that one spot, always, like you never not sing it. Amateurs do it until they can get it right. Professionals do it until they can't get it wrong. Let me say that again for the kids in the back. If you're an amateur, you join it until you accomplished it. Like, I know how to do it. I did it before. But professionals do it so many times, they rep it, that it's impossible for them to get it wrong. They can't get it wrong because they're so good at it. It's so ingrained in their muscle memory. So much, in fact, that if it's ingrained in your muscle memory and you learned it a certain way, it takes 2 to 3 times as long to unlearn it and relearn it another way. If you spent an hour learning it wrong, it'll take 2 hours to 3 hours to learn it the right way. So practice does not make perfect. It makes habits, permanent habits. So add in choreo, standing in the exact place you're supposed to standing. That's all the benefits of what you want to do to get rid of those nerves. And of course, embrace the nerves. Purposefully seek out positions that's going to make you feel uncomfortable. If you're a person that I don't like to be said no, I don't like to be made fun of, do something crazy. Bring a bunch of flower seeds and knock on your neighbor's door in a safe neighborhood, mind you, don't just, anyway, with your permission of the area that you know, and say, hi, I'm your neighbor. I live down the street. I know we've talked at a couple of things before. I was wondering if I could plant a flower seed in your garden. Would you be opposed to that? And if they say, yeah, don't do that, you got a rejection. And you're now getting more used to rejections. The more rejections that you'll get, the more you'll realize, hey, it's not that bad. You'll get used to it. So then when you're on stage, all of a sudden you'll realize the more you perform over and over again for people and realize, oh, these nerds exist and they exist with me, you're realizing the audience is not there to reject you. And those people that are there to reject you on the stage, who cares? They were not good people. Don't be friends with them. Don't hang out with them. But it was my best friend, or it was my mom. Sorry. That's not cool for that person to do that. End of story. Stop trying to impress them. Go with the people that just will love on you all the time. So all these things are basically the way that you upgrade. Down here, I love this wheel. We're going to talk about this later, but seek uncomfortable situations. Despise what anxiety you have. Embrace the nervousness. Meaning I love that I'm there. Stop. No, not that. That's too much. Just be it's there. I'm aware of it. And let's learn to perform with it. And then channel the energy, gain confidence, rinse and repeat, and eventually you're going to have the ability to perform it. And those other things are going to start, and especially with some of these exercises you practiced over and over again, bring them in your routine of being anxious less or embracing it. And that right there is how you fix most of that. The conclusion is basically you're going to perform better. You have to do it more times. And if you said, I did all these things and it didn't work, because you haven't done it enough. Every experience that you have is a chance to level up. Everything. One more story is that Pixar was making Woody. If you've ever seen the makings of Pixar, they talked about Woody. And Woody was not a likable character on Toy Story when they first made this character. It was very unlikable. A snooty, snotty, just bratty, bitter man. And they worked on that, and they didn't bury who Woody was. They hung those mistakes on the wall and said, look at these mistakes. We're not going to forget these, so we never do them again. And then Tom Hanks came in and blessed that character with just genuine passion and the things that we all have liked Woody for. And if you don't like Woody, then think about how it used to be. Anyway, that said, everybody, please make sure that you're continuously doing this. Consistent practice. Don't do something different in your routine and practice it. Have a routine. Do it that routine. I'm going to do this for 2 minutes, this for 3, this is 4. And of course, I'm able to, and I have different programs that I have that allows you to have your program built for you. And those are other things that we have in the community that you'll see here and there. But I don't think you need that from me. I think you can create it, because the cool thing about it is you are the better expert for yourself. You know what you want to sound like. You know what you think sounds good. So I would even encourage you, one last step is record yourself during the process, analyze yourself, and then make it better, and keep on doing that maybe once a month to find out what you can make better in your own routine, whether it's singing or doing an exercise through, looking at your body posture, figuring it out, doing it in front of a mirror. Very important. And that, folks, that right there is how you be able to hedge vocal journey and do better. So anyway, yeah,